over the next 8 weeks, we'll be grappling with some challenging, perhaps even unsettling ideas. We'll be exploring deconstruction, a complex philosophical and literary theory, and examining its implications for faith. Specifically, how it might challenge, reshape, or even strengthen our understanding of our own beliefs. Welcome everyone to Faith in Deconstruction. I am iamLuzCelenia, your professor. Now I want to be upfront. Deconstruction is not about tearing things down just for the sake of it. It is not about nihilism, the belief that all values are baseless and that nothing can be known or communicated, or a wholesale rejection of meaning altogether. Think of it less as a demolition and more as an architectural analysis. We're going to be looking at the foundations of our beliefs, examining the structures that support them, and asking, are there cracks? Are there hidden assumptions that we need to address? Deconstruction is not new by any stretch of the imagination. It is primarily associated with the French philosopher Jacques Derrida, who emerged in the mid-20th century. Deconstruction challenges the traditional Western way of thinking, which often relies on binary opposition. Think good versus evil, sacred versus profane, truth versus falsehood, sin versus holy. And it assumes that meaning is fixed and stable. Derrida developed deconstruction as a method for exposing hidden biases within text, particularly how language constructs meaning in unstable and subjective ways. His work challenged the assumption that words have fixed meanings, arguing that meaning is constantly shifting based on context, interpretation, and cultural influence. The idea had profound implications for philosophy, literature, and even theology, as it suggested that much of what we assume to be truth is actually shaped by the structures of power that control language. Before Derrida, 19th century philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche laid the groundwork for deconstruction by challenging religious and moral systems. His famous declaration that God is dead was not a literal claim, but a commentary on how traditional religious structures were losing their authority in modern society. He argued that many people's morality was shaped not by conviction. Let me say that again. He argued that many people's morality was shaped not by deep conviction, but by inherited beliefs they never questioned. Does that sound familiar? Nietzsche's work inspired later thinkers to challenge institutionalized authority and seek meaning behind inherited traditions. In the 16th century, long before deconstruction became a philosophical movement, people were already questioning religious institutions. The Protestant Reformation, led by figures like Martin Luther and John Calvin, was one of the earliest widespread deconstruction movements. Luther's 95 Theses challenged the Catholic Church's practices, sparking a movement that led many to question long-standing doctrines and traditions. The Age of Enlightenment in the 17th and 18th century encouraged individuals to question religious dogma, emphasizing reason, science, and personal interpretation over institutional authority. Thinkers like John Locke, Voltaire, and Immanuel Kant argued for religious tolerance and personal freedom in matters of faith. Now, in the 20th century, the modern era, deconstruction within religion has gained a lot of traction, especially in evangelical and fundamentalist circles. Many people raised in strict religious environments, have begun questioning doctrines related to gender, sexuality, race, biblical literalism, and church authority. This movement has been amplified by social media, books, and podcasts, creating an open space for those re-examining their faith. This is what this is, an open space. Now, deconstruction isn't just about philosophy or religion. It is also central to major social and cultural shifts. Many historical movements have involved re-examining and challenging dominant belief systems, including the abolitionist movement, that challenged the belief that slavery was a moral or economic necessity, the civil rights movement that questioned racial hierarchies and systemic oppression, the feminism and gender equality movements, the deconstructing patriarchal norms that have dictated gender roles, and the LGBTQ plus rights movement that challenged heteronormative and binary views on gender and sexuality. Each of these movements involve deconstructing long-standing societal beliefs and reimagining new ways of thinking, being, and relating to others. Can you think of any other social or cultural movements that would have involved deconstructing? Now, as I mentioned earlier, today, deconstruction is often associated with individuals leaving or reevaluating their religious or ideological backgrounds. While some abandon belief entirely, and let me be clear, in this space that is perfectly valid, others reconstruct a new one, a more authentic framework that aligns with their values. Some common triggers for deconstruction today is exposure to diverse perspectives through education, media, and travel, personal experiences like injustices, harm, or hypocrisy within religious or cultural institutions, scientific discoveries that challenge literal interpretation of sacred text, the rise of digital communities where people share their deconstruction journeys. For many, deconstruction is not just about tearing down beliefs. It is about finding freedom, healing from past trauma, and reconstructing a life of meaning on one's own terms. In conclusion, destruction is not an attack on belief. It is an invitation to engage critically with the ideas that shape our lives. By understanding its history, we can approach this process with awareness, curiosity, and intentionality. And as we move forward in the next 8 weeks, I want you to remember and beyond that deconstruction is not just about what you leave behind. It's also about what you create in its place, even if it's not religion, even if it means that you walk away completely. Just make sure that whatever you're pulling up, that you're replacing it with something healthier. So that concludes lesson 1. A lot in about 7.5 minutes. Looking ahead to discussion at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be meeting on Zoom on Sunday, February 2nd. And I wanted to give you the discussion questions ahead of time. It is also in your email, but for those who are watching, I want you to think about these if you can even journal. Although if you have the ebook, there are also some reflections in there as well. Have you experienced a shift in your beliefs? And if so, what prompted it? Do you think questioning long-held beliefs is necessary for personal growth? Why or why not? How do you think deconstruction can lead to a healthier and more authentic belief system? And what are some fears or concerns people might have about deconstruction? If you're watching this and this interests you and you have not registered for the course, all you need to do is download the ebook that I wrote, Beginner's Guide to Deconstruction, and I will send you the syllabus along with the assignments for week 1 and the supplemental reading which is the translation of Derrida's Dissemination, and as well as a couple other links that I would like you to watch on your free time. Thank you so much. Week 1 down.